After all these years, Wicked is still as popular as ever. Paul Wontorek is here with the story of the incredible actress who plays Nessarose on Broadway.
Thank you for having us in your home, Jenna.
Yeah, this is
your
great.
beautiful home away from Wicked, home away from Oz.
Yes, get a little bit out of the city, have a little more space.
So it's a beautiful place. How did you make this place a home, a comfortable home? What do you need to have a comfortable home?
Oh gosh, I need to have a place that at the end of the night, because my husband goes to bed usually before I get home from the show.
Okay.
So I need a place that I can completely decompress and zen. So comfortable couch is the first thing I need. And then when I come home, I always have a brownie as I sit on this couch and just like no sound. I don't like watch TV. I'm not listening to a podcast. I just sit here in silence and like calm down. And then I really love art. Art makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel like a place is actually lived in.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of art from our travels, and also we have a tradition where my husband always gets us a piece of artwork for Valentine's Day.
Oh.
So the house is just filled to the brim with all kinds of art. And
I love
it makes me feel calm.
So you are Nessarose.
Yes.
Of course, Elphaba's sister. And you are the first ambulatory wheelchair user to ever play Nessarose. And obviously Nessarose uses a wheelchair. So this is something that had to happen. This is a beautiful moment right now. How are you feeling being a few months into the run, having this new Broadway career, because you also finished a run in Suffs on Broadway. How's life? How are you feeling right now being at this point?
I never imagined for myself that I would be on Broadway. It was never, I was really happy working in regional theater. I love regional theater. I think that regional theater is the lifeblood of art, art in America.
Yeah.
I think it's so important, and I loved doing it. And I just always, when an opportunity presented itself, I always followed it. So that led me to theaters all across the country, and when the opportunity then came to audition for Suffs in New York, I had to take it. It feels so natural, which is such an interesting thing. It's so exciting every night, but it also feels so comfortable. It feels like home. It feels like such a good place to be every night, and so much of that is the companies I've gotten to work with. It's been really incredible how much I've felt included in the companies, and these shows are so important, and getting to tell these stories to audience members every night is just a gift I could have never imagined for myself, but I'm so grateful.
In the last 5 years, there has been a lot of effort put into better inclusion on Broadway in many different ways. It seems like a no-brainer that an actress like you would get to play Nessarose, but 20 years went by without anyone in the industry really thinking that. Sometimes when the opportunity isn't already there, did you even dream that the opportunity was possible?
I understand some of the hesitation because our rhetoric as a society about what it means to be disabled or what it means to use a wheelchair is pretty limited. So if you don't have someone teaching you and telling you, here's how we can become more accessible and more inclusive, you don't even know to ask. You don't even know what possibilities are out there. So it didn't surprise me that it hadn't happened yet. It frustrated me, of course, because I want to see disabled stories told by disabled performers and disabled writers and disabled directors. What was exciting about joining Wicked was also we can have those conversations now. There are a lot of things about Backstage at the Gershwin that aren't accessible. But there are a lot of things that are. And when we could have that open dialogue of what does accommodation actually look like, there's much more room for that gray area. I think that people assume that access is a binary, that you're either completely accessible or completely not. But the ADA is really just a guide. And it, in a lot of ways, is the bare minimum for ensuring access for everybody. But each individual is going to have different access needs. And that's true whether you have a disability or not. Access is a universal need. And we all have things that we need to do our jobs well. So being able to have that conversation of, yes, I'm a wheelchair user, and yes, I can do stairs. And stairs aren't really a huge problem for me. My issue is stamina. So how can we make sure that we can perform this show in a way that is sustainable for my body, and also have all the backstage work that's sustainable for my body, given the framework we have? Because it is also, Broadway's a machine. You kind of get plugged into, in Wicked, it's literally a clock. We have a clock making up the entire set, and you are clockwork within that machine.
Yeah.
So how do you make sure that someone who has different access needs can fit into that clock?
Yeah.
And we were able to have a conversation that was open and frank and honest about what accessibility looked like for me. Whoever comes to Wicked next, you know, in any part, it doesn't matter what part it is. The next performer who comes to Wicked with access needs is going to need different things. But I think we've now started that conversation so that people are more able to talk openly. I think there's a fear sometimes about talking about accessibility, but when you can have an open dialogue, you're able to actually meet someone where they are.
Going to work, going to Wicked.
Going to Wicked. It's a normal day.
So did you learn to drive like when you were 16?
Yeah.
Like, so you got your license from that on?
Yeah.
You've always driven?
Correct, yeah. So when I was 16, I did have to take a test to make sure that,
Yeah, how does that work?
yeah, so like basically there was a question of if I would drive like a traditional car or if I needed to have hand gears. So when I was 15 and going through driver's ed, I took a whole test to make sure that my reflexes and strength was strong enough to be able to handle a regular transmission. So my left leg is not strong enough, so I can't drive a stick shift.
Okay.
But regular transmission, my right leg has much more control and strength.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood and when you first sustained your disability.
Yeah. So when I was 16 months old, I was running around my living room. I was a very active kid, and I just tripped and fell, something that toddlers do a million times a day. And when I fell, I hit my head on a coffee table and then ricocheted and hit my legs on the couch. And the compression of the dual movement, I was completely paralyzed from that moment.
Wow.
So when it first happened, I was quadriplegic, so completely paralyzed from the chest down. I could move my shoulders and I could move my thumbs. And my parents took me to the emergency room and essentially were told, she's fine, she's just scared. Like, kids fall down all the time. Kids don't break their spines. That's not a thing that happens, so don't worry about it. She's probably just scared, she'll be fine tomorrow. And my parents luckily did not take that for an answer and took me to another emergency room. It was quite a slow recovery process after that. As the swelling went down from the injury, I regained some mobility, so I became paraplegic, and then over time regained more feeling and movement. But they've never been able to figure out what happened. They don't know if it was some kind of autoimmune, something that caused me to fall, and it actually was that my disability caused the fall, or if the fall caused my disability.
Right.
They've never been able to figure out exactly what happened.
People get so frustrated when you can't tell them
I know.
exact answers, right? And you're like, I just
Exactly.
want to figure out how to live my life. But people actually want to know, like,
They want to know, like, what's wrong.
Right.
I'm like, nothing's wrong.
right. Yeah.
It's also interesting because, like, even my doctors very much are like, well, we need to get you a diagnosis. And at this point, I don't care.
Correct.
Like,
right.
I've been living my life,
Right.
my entire lived memory.
Yeah.
I've had my disability. And so I don't find it to be a negative part of me. I love my disability. My disability has led me to every beautiful thing in my life. So I don't need to know why I have a disability. I just need to know that it exists and I accommodate for it. The thing that I don't like about my disability is the way that other people treat me for it. The way that people assume things about me and assume things about every disabled person. But disability is a natural and beautiful part of life, and it will happen to everybody. Everybody will experience disability, whether it's temporarily, you know, maybe you sprain your ankle. Hey, guess what?
Right.
Having your home be accessible
Right.
to you and your work be accessible to you while you recover from that is gonna be important.
Right.
It might happen to your loved ones. It might happen to your parents, to your spouse, to your children. And it might also happen to you. Disability is not something we should be scared of. It's something we should plan for because it is inevitable and it is a human rite of passage to experience disability. So I don't think it's negative. I don't need to know why I have a disability. What I need to do is make sure that the world becomes more accessible because of my disability.
Beautifully said. Really, really powerful. So tell me about your childhood and discovering theater, because you actually, before you came to New York, you did a lot of theater.
I did.
In Colorado, a lot of it in a wheelchair, and a lot of it with theater companies that embraced you. So talk a little bit about that, because I'm sure it really led you to the woman you are today.
Oh, 100%. I was a very active kid. I love sports. I still love sports. Like if you are here on a Sunday, I am watching football the moment I get home from the show. And I grew up playing a lot of sports. I played baseball and volleyball. I have a black belt in karate. I went skiing every weekend. I did horseback riding. Like I was an active kid. And as sports became more competitive, teams were less and less willing to have a disabled girl play with them. My parents had always been big theater people. My mom was kind of looking around and was like, sports don't feel like the right environment. What if you did choir? And so I started auditioning for children's choirs in my area, and then that led to auditioning for theaters in my area, and eventually we found Family Theater Company, which is in Denver, Colorado. They hire entirely actors with disabilities. Wow. And that was where I got all of my training, because I was able to see adults with disabilities living their lives. And that was something I hadn't seen before. You don't see that in TV, you don't see that in movies. So getting to meet other people with disabilities and see, oh, how do you accommodate for yourself? Or how do you ask for accommodations? How do you learn choreography if you can't do the steps, the physical steps? How do I accommodate it to just be for my upper body? I learned all of those tools at Family.
Some of these roles you did not do in a wheelchair. Correct?
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit. You're able to do roles to an extent. Like, talk about that. I'm sure people have questions about that.
Yeah, so my disability, I walk with a rather pronounced limp, and I tire out quickly.
Yeah.
So if I have to walk more than about one city block, I am spent. Shows, though, are inconsistent movement. You're doing dancing, and then you sit for a while, and then you might, park and bark and sing your song, and then you might, go off stage and have like 10 minutes of just chilling out.
Yeah.
So theater has always been a pretty sustainable model for my type of movement, because it's always diversified. It's not just, you're gonna walk for this whole scene. The only time I ever had to do that was in SUFs. We just march and march and march and march. I view my wheelchair as an additional method for storytelling. And I think it's a really beautiful thing to use it for certain characters and not use it for others. And at the end of the day, it's always gonna make my life easier to use it.
Yeah.
So when I can, I'll always use my wheelchair.
One thing I love, you do great content online.
Thank you. Roles that are better disabled.
Roles that are better disabled, which has been very eye-opening for me. I actually told you before we rolled.
Yeah.
I think of roles now, and I think about, that'd be really interesting, if I saw a disabled person play that role.
Yeah, the feedback on roles that are better disabled has been so incredible, because I'll give an example of one. I recently did Cinderella. And I've done 2 different episodes of Cinderella. I've done one where I talked about Cinderella should be a wheelchair user, because it's, of course, in my mind that she sings in my own little corner, in my own little chair. I can be whatever I want to be. I love the idea of it being her wheelchair. I think that's beautiful storytelling.
Prince.
Correct. I did a follow-up where I said the prince should be played by a blind actor.
Yeah.
Because I think it helps to tell the story and make it a little bit more clear for the storytelling of why he's looking for her through physical methods of, like, putting a shoe on random people.
Why doesn't he recognize her?
Why doesn't he recognize her? Like, maybe he has facial blindness, maybe he's got partial vision, maybe he has no vision. Like, I think it really informs the storytelling. And it gives an opportunity for more disabled actors to get to perform, because I think that we don't always think about how to include disabled actors in our storytelling, but disabled people are 20% of the population. So every single story on stage should really have 20% of the people on stage being disabled.
So what do you love about Nessarose?
Ness is an interesting character because I think she's very misunderstood. I love, as an actor, getting to play such a range within the show because Nessa goes through quite the transformation. She has a pretty massive arc as a character.
Yeah.
So as an actor, that's just the best. Getting to like really stretch. I love doing that. And then Nessa as a character, like living within her, I think she's incredibly, like, Act 1 Nessa in particular, I think is very, like, excited and optimistic.
Yeah.
And that's a really lovely thing to have that optimism. I think that the world of Oz, you know, much like our own world, goes through some rather extreme hardships. And that really changes people. And I think it's important to return to that Act 1 optimism because you can make a lot of change in the world if you're willing to fight for it.
So what were some of the things that were maybe accommodated? I know your dressing room, I believe your dressing room changed for Nessarose.
Yes, so during my very first audition, I said, you know, hi, my name is Jenna, I am a wheelchair user,
Yep.
I'm able to walk. I walked during my audition, and I said, if you have any questions about this, about what my access needs might be, I'm very excited to have that conversation. There was a little bit of back and forth, just they presented me with, here is the show as it currently runs. So here's all of the things that Nessa does during the show, as far as there's 2 steps up to the stage itself. There's a staircase at the very beginning of the show that I climb. Here's how steep it is. You know, they gave me all that information and said, what in here is doable for you and what is not? And then I came back to them and said, you know, for sustainability, because there's so many steps required on stage, I would need for my dressing room to be moved. The dressing room for previous Nessas had been upstairs.
Right.
So it would mean that every single costume change, walking up 2 flights of stairs, that's a lot for my body.
Yeah.
The other interesting thing was what happens on stage, because once we were able to figure out, can we even make this work backstage, there was the question of, all right, now what's the blocking on stage? And there was only one moment that I really felt like needed to be shifted, and that was the curtain call. Because the curtain calls are so fast. Like any curtain call on Broadway, you're watching people like run to their spot, bow quickly, and run away. And I don't run.
Right.
Like,
Correct.
just
Yes.
like point blank, I do not run. That is not something my legs do.
Right.
So I was like, hey, would it be possible for me to do the curtain call in my personal wheelchair? And immediately everybody on the team was like, absolutely, yes, we can make that happen. So it started off as an access need, but I also find it really beautiful for the storytelling because I think it also tells the audience, I am a member of this community. I myself.
That's your opportunity to be yourself, the curtain call.
Yeah, exactly, because that's when we take off our masks. You know, we literally have people in Wicked who wear masks during the show, and they come off in curtain call holding their mask.
Right.
And for me, it was a moment of showing my disability in plain sight and saying, I am a member of this community.
Give me like a really good dream role.
Like Maria in Sound of Music is like way up there. Eliza in My Fair Lady.
Okay.
Like those are way up there. And then like more modern would be like Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. Like I'm dying to do that. But definitely those more golden age sounds that like also belt.
So when you go see, let's say you go see Little Shop off Broadway and you watch it, do you sit there and think like, how could this be adjusted for me? Like, do you literally sit there and think like, how could I do this track?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can't really help it. Like anytime I see a show, it's part of why I do the Roles That Are Better Disabled series is that any show I see, my brain immediately goes to how can we make this more accessible.
I want to talk about the business you started with your husband, Paul.
It was 2022 that we started Consultability.
Was this a COVID project? Was it sort of something, you know, a lot of time talking together, right?
Yeah.
Closed off from the world? Like, where did it come from?
It was something we'd already been doing, especially, you know, as an actor with a disability, I was always having to advocate for myself. Anytime I would go into a new theater, I would be doing a lot of unpaid labor telling people how to make their spaces more accessible, not just for me, but my goal was always to make it more accessible for every single person who came after me.
Yeah.
So I was doing that work for free for many, many years. And so was my husband. He was my stage manager at Family Theater Company, so he'd been working with countless disabled artists with all different disabilities.
Right.
So he was doing this work from behind the scenes as I was doing it on stage.
Wow.
And so it meant that together we just had this wealth of knowledge of how to make any situation accessible.
Obviously, you know, I have a hearing disability, so captioning is very important to me,
Yes.
and there's all sorts of disabilities, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of things you have to take into account.
Exactly.
So tell me about the actual work.
So we have a few different approaches. Theaters can come to us, and we have our website is consultability.org. We're on social media. People can reach out to us and ask us to come to their spaces. We also do direct outreach. So if we have somebody tell us, hey, I went to this theater and it wasn't accessible, that tells us we should reach out to them. Or sometimes we just do cold calls of places that, you know, we've heard about and we think would be interested in doing the work. We always do on-site analysis, so we'll walk through all of the spaces, rehearsal rooms, bathrooms, dressing rooms, on stage, backstage, audience spaces, lobbies, and make sure that they have an idea of here are all the things you're doing well, and we want you to continue doing, because sometimes people don't even know that something is accessible.
Let me also be clear, the ADA requires businesses to do a certain amount of things.
Yes.
But,
yes.
but it's nowhere near what actually would be needed to perform what you're hoping to perform in these
And
venues.
the ADA has a lot of loopholes in it.
Yeah.
If your building predates the ADA, which most theaters do,
Right.
you might not be required to have the same level of accessibility.
Got it.
And you're certainly not required to have it backstage. Backstage
Right.
spaces are private spaces, and so they
Okay.
are exempt from many
Got
ADA
it.
requirements. So your audience spaces might be accessible, but as we said, the ADA is like the very
Baseline.
ground level of
Yeah.
accessibility. So we really want to make it more accessible.
Yeah.
There's all these little things that we can tell you, here's what you're doing well, please continue. One of the most common ones I see is you'll go into the wheelchair accessible bathroom and everything will be perfect, but there is a step trash can. The only way to open that trash can is to step on a pedal.
Wow.
Right? And it's something people don't even think about, right? They just bought 30 trash cans for their building and they put one in every room. No one thought about the fact that you physically cannot open that trash can unless you step on it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a problem.
Yeah.
And so we can tell them, hey, here's the trash cans you should be buying for your whole building.
Yeah.
Step trash cans shouldn't be in public spaces. They just shouldn't be. Have them be motion censored, have them be, you know, swing top.
Right.
These are much more accessible options. We go in and show them that. We also show them how to make backstage spaces accessible because there isn't a framework for that. You know, there's not anything that says, here's how you should make your cables to make them wheelchair accessible, right? There might be rules about you should tape down your cables, but sometimes you want to have a cable ramp. Sometimes you want to have a rug. Sometimes you want to have a rug and tape. There's different ways you can make it more accessible for more people. So we go through and analyze all of that, and then we give them an action plan that says, here's what you can do in the short term for cheap. You know, replace the trash can, or just take the lid off the trash can. You don't even have to replace it. Just remove the lid. That's free. Maybe you just need to swing the hinges so that they go the other direction. That's something that literally any carpenter in your building can do.
Sure.
So there's small things you can do, and then when you are planning for renovations, prioritize these things and tell the architects, we really want to have an elevator that goes to the dressing room. We really want to have non-fluorescent lighting in every single room. We really want to have the HVAC system checked so that it's quiet enough that it's not going to overstimulate people, right? These are things you're not really thinking about until someone tells you this is inaccessible. So we start with that, and then we also do trainings to show people the real life application of accessibility.
What's it been like actually being out into the world and watching sort of the Broadway community react to you?
It's been incredible. I mean, every single night there are people at the show who have disabilities who tell me how important it is for them to feel represented on that stage, and that maybe they haven't ever felt that before. They've never seen themselves in these stories. I meet them at the stage door. I have DMs every day from people telling me their own stories. And, you know, just, I can't even put into words how much it means. And it's also the representation that, you know, I didn't have as a kid. I didn't think I would go into this profession because I'd never seen anybody like me do it. I'd never seen anybody be successful in this industry. And that's starting to change. Kids are coming to Wicked and feeling seen in the movie, on stage, and it's showing them that there's a place for them, not just in the arts, not just in theater, but also all of the roles that disabled actors are playing.
It's so powerful.
It is.
It's so powerful for audiences. So I'm excited to see where we are 5 years from now, 10 years from now. What are your sort of dreams of? What are your dreams for yourself now? I'm sure your world has just kind of opened up in wild ways over the last few years.
Yeah. I mean, my dream for audiences is that disability becomes so normalized on stage and on screen that they start to accept it more for themselves. That, you know, I see so many people who are reluctant to get and use the assistive aids that would really benefit their life, right? People who are unwilling to start using a cane or start using a hearing aid, things that would really make their lives better. I hope that by seeing it normalized, they're able to embrace it in their own lives. That's my hope for the world.
Yeah.
And then my hope for myself is that I just want to keep performing. I just want to keep showing people the vivacity that the disabled community has, and I really want to tell disabled stories.
Now we found the traffic.
Like, we can see the marquee. Nothing like the Gershwin.
Literally nothing like it.
We were at the Broadhurst the other day for the flea market.
Oh yeah.
And like, just being on those two stages on the same day, you really notice the difference in size. And like, gosh, the Gershwin is just, it's so grand. It's so big. And then here's my little hidey hole.
That's your parking spot.
This is my parking spot.
So what is your like final prep in here before the show? Like, how do you get yourself ready to go on stage?
I will probably do some yoga, make sure that my body is warm. Sometimes I'll sing while I do yoga, just like some very light warm-ups, just to make sure everything is like ready to go, stretched out. So we've got all of our yoga equipment in the corner.
Okay.
So I'll usually do a lot of yoga, and then I just do my makeup and try to like focus.
Try to do the thing.
Yeah.
Do the Broadway thing.
Yeah. So sometimes it involves music. I need to like get hyped up or brought down. I'll let music do that for me. But it's a lot of just kind of being in the moment.
Does it really hit you that you're part of the like the Wicked fandom? I mean, that's like going to be the rest of your life. I mean, that's huge.
It is certainly not. It hasn't clicked.
Yeah.
I'm just feeling very excited that I'm a working actor on Broadway. This is great. It hasn't really sunk in that like Wicked is the thing I've been able to do.